Hello once again, dear students. You are welcome to week 4 topic, which is on basic computer concepts. To begin with this topic, we will start with the definition of what a computer is. A computer is an electronic device which accepts data as input, processes the data, stores the data, and outputs or gives the processed data as useful information. By electronic device, we basically mean that the computer is powered by electricity. This means you must plug it to a power source like many desktop computers, or you must have electric charges stored in its battery to supply its power, like laptops. To better understand this definition, let us compare a human being and food with the computer and data. This is one fantastic way to prove that the inventor of the computer studied the human being and got wisdom on how to create a machine such as the very useful computer. It can hopefully inspire you to study the natural things around you, and they can inspire you to create the next big invention. Okay, now let's look at a young kid eating food on one side and look at the computer on the other side to make comparison. Now, just like your human body needs food to function, the computer needs digital data to function. These data are raw facts and figures in the form of text, audio, pictures, and videos that haven't been processed. Now, you will notice from the definition of computer that it does 4 major things, which is to 1. Accept data, 2. Process the data, 3. Store the processed data, and 4. Give it out as information. Now let's start with the first one. Looking at a human being like this young person eating, you will notice that there are certain parts of the body needed to accept the food. Can you mention 1 or 2? I know you've noticed the hands and the mouth. In the same way, for the computer to accept data into it, it needs certain devices called input devices, like the keyboard to type in data and the mouse to click and enter commands. Now moving to the next step of processing. For the human being, you will notice that after accepting the food, it needs to start processing it into useful energy. You will notice that there are several parts of the body that help to break down and process the food, such as the teeth for chewing, throat for swallowing, stomach, intestine, etc. However, one major part that controls the whole system of processing the food is the brain. The brain sends signals to the tongue and teeth for tasting and chewing, to the stomach for digestion, and to the intestine to convert to useful energy. In the same way, the computer processes data using a processing device called the Central Processing Unit, CPU, which is found in the system unit of the computer. The next step is storing. You will notice that for this child, there is an organ where the food she accepts is stored, which is the stomach. In the same way, there are storage devices in the computer, one of which is the hard disk, where data is stored, found in the system unit. And finally, for outputting, you will agree with me that there are some places where the processed food can be outputted or come out from in this child. It can come out from the skin pores or holes as useful energy, which it can use to play and do tasks. Or even the unwanted food can be pooed out through another organ called the anus and vomited from her mouth. In the same way, the processed data in a computer can be outputted, displayed, or brought out using output devices like monitor, speakers, even printer. You will even notice that, like in the human being, in which the mouth can serve as both an input and output organ, the same applies for some touch screens or touch screen monitors, which can serve as both input device for entering data and output device for displaying the data. Wow! This explanation has given you a thorough understanding of what the definition of a computer is and what this topic is all about. Moving on from here will be a breeze. Let's continue. Now, when you consider only its hardware parts, which are the physical parts you can see and touch, the computer is basically made up of the system unit, the keyboard, mouse, and monitor. These parts, along with several other connectable parts, can be categorized into 4 major groups. Now, these 4 major groups of hardware parts include the system unit or processing device, the input devices, the output devices, and the storage devices. Starting with the first one, the system unit stroke processing device. The system unit is a rectangular case that houses the main electrical components of the computer. Some of these components include the motherboard, the CPU, internal hard disk, CD/DVD drives, ports, etc. Processing of data occurs in the Central Processing Unit, the CPU, which is inside the system unit. It's very careful you don't mistake the CPU for the system unit. The system units are of 2 types, namely the desktop case and the tower case. Moving to the second one, input devices. These are devices that are used to put in or enter data and commands into the computer. Examples of input devices include keyboard, mouse, touchpad, light pen, scanner, joystick, webcam, etc. The most popular of them is the keyboard. Now the third one, output devices. You can say it's like the opposite of input devices. They are used to display, output, or bring out data or information in the computer. Examples of these devices are monitor, printers, speaker, projector, etc. The most popular of them is the monitor. And number 4 is storage devices. As the name implies, these are computer devices that are used to store digital data. We have both internal and external storage devices. Internal being the RAM, which in full means random access memory, stroke ROM, read-only memory. The internal hard disk. External being those like the CD stroke DVD, in full meaning compact disc, stroke digital video or versatile disc, flash drive, Blu-ray disc, external hard disk, etc. Now we are moving to describing the computer as an input, processing, and output system, IPO. IPO system stands for input, process, output system. And this is what the computer does on a regular basis as you use it. There are stages and processes by which a computer changes data into information, and they include 1. Input. This is the process of collecting and entering data or commands into the computer system. The most popular way of entering data into the computer is through typing using the keyboard. Other ways include clicking and dragging using the mouse, using your fingers to punch and slide on the touch screen, writing digital data on a screen using a light pen, and so on. Now moving to the second one, process. This is the work done by the computer's processing device, the CPU, to change data into information. Do you know that the keys on the keyboard are not recognized as letters by the computer? The computer sees each letter you type as a combination of zeros and ones. A 1 represents an electrical signal flowing through one of the wires for that particular key circuit. And a 0 represents no electrical signal flowing through one of the wires as well. The CPU processes your input, feeding it back to the monitor to display it in a form you understand, such as alphabets, images, and sounds. Moving to output. This is the process of displaying or bringing out the resultant information gotten after processing. The processed data, which is information, is displayed in soft copy form using a monitor. On the other hand, the information is brought out in hard copy form using a printer. Also, information can be projected upon a wider screen using a projector. Note: soft copy is when information is presented in its digital or electronic form, while hard copy is digital information presented in its printed form. So this is basically the diagram of the IPO cycle of the computer. This has really been an amazing and insightful topic. And here are the following evaluative questions. What is a computer? Mention and explain 3 groups the hardware parts of a computer are categorized under, and give one example for each. If I wanted to enter text into the computer, how will I do so, and with which input device? If I wanted to display data to a very large audience, which output device will I use to do so? Now, the personal evaluative question goes thus. Go and do an online research and find out, possibly on YouTube, how the computer processes data into information. So thank you so much for completing this class. And as usual, kindly attempt the evaluative questions before seeing the answers, and go for the personal evaluative question to deepen your understanding of how the computer works as a processing device. God bless you.